My home is not your home.
The CWAA, which stands for Center for Wildlife Assessment and Assistance, is an institution where all kinds of species arrive. Absolutely every species that is seized or handed in by the community. It has professional, specialized, and trained staff that performs a veterinary and zootechnical evaluation, which allows us to heal animals when they arrive with signs of illness, abuses, and in some cases we have seen mutilated animals. The negative consequence of this is that the animals sometimes die due to the bad shape in which they arrive here at the center. However, the majority of cases result in a successful recovery. The animals are kept in quarantine, and once we can be certain that they are in excellent health, we can release them into a natural habitat. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well, sir.
Ladies, we need to deliver these birds and this turtle that were dropped off at the center yesterday. The turtle was handed in to the environmental police by a lady who voluntarily brought her over. Likewise, today, a lady called, Albaluz Arias, from the Diamante 2 neighborhood. She communicated with us by telephone in order to hand over a dwarf macaw and a yellowhead parrot. These are the intake forms for that case. This is the one that the environmental police brought over yesterday for the turtle. And this is the form I need you to hand over confirming receipt of the birds.
How long did she have them?
It doesn't say here about the turtle, but the birds have been with the lady for a year. The lady contacted us because she said she couldn't provide adequate conditions to keep up these animals at home, so she volunteered to bring them over. We processed the intake during the morning hours, and we are now placing them in your care. Where we are right now is the external consultation area, where we inspect the animals once they arrive. All animals that arrive at the rescue center receive a physical examination. Afterwards, they receive a behavioral evaluation. What we do here is to take out all the animals one by one, as with the turtle that we have here. We take some measurements for the record, and that will later help us with decision making. When you inspect the animals, you check the carapace, the eyes, the mouth, the extremities. You check to see that the extremities are in good shape and that the animal can move well. We look at the shape of the carapace, and based on that, we take the first set of decisions here at the rescue center. So the first decision we need to take is whether or not to release the animals into the wild. We can't proceed with release with any of these animals here because the parrots had lived in a home for over a year. So these are birds that cannot survive out in the wild. They don't know how to gather food, so we have to find a different option for them. They enter a quarantine stage. And the tortoise can't be released yet because the geographical location of its natural habitat is far away from where we are now. With the tortoise, what we can see right away is that the carapace is deformed. This is a metabolic disease of the bones caused by improper diet in captivity. When people keep these tortoises in captivity, they very often feed them mostly lettuce and tomatoes. However, lettuce and tomatoes only supply water and don't really have any other nutritional value. So that is the reason for the deformity of the carapace. As far as the birds are concerned, you can see that they are both domesticated, meaning they are used to human beings. You can see that she approaches when I put out my hand. That is part of the behavior that we evaluate. There is a change in the plumage of the mini macaw. Surely that is caused because she is plucking out her own feathers. This can happen as a result of the stress of captivity. What we see there are gray feathers that are just changing color. And they see that as an affront, as if they were under attack. So what we always try to evaluate first is the state of the plumage. Here, we can see that these feathers are complete. The first set, which is the main one, has been cut, and that is what they need to take flight. It's cut on both wings, but the rest of the feathers are complete.
La primera está recortada, que es la principal, la que les da el vuelo a los animales. De ambas alas está recortada. El resto de plumas están completas. Hay algunas.
There are some that are misshapen, like those gray feathers I told you about. So now we just turn it around and we evaluate the animal's body conditioning.
La condición corporal del animal.
And that's it. A visual exam can be done quickly. We put the animal back in the cage and we move on to the next one. We will check the plumage. The tail is in good shape.
Revisar bien el pico para ver.
Another thing to check for deformities is the beak. So in this case, the animals are in relatively good shape. They will enter a quarantine stage and there is no need to hospitalize them. And afterwards, we can see about what we're going to do with them. Among the duties assigned to the environmental police by Article 99 from 1993 are to accompany and assist the various regional environmental regulators. On the issue of control of wildlife trafficking, we are carrying out seizures as well as rescue operations, and we also receive some animals that are voluntarily brought by people who are aware of the law and who realize that these animals must be returned to their natural habitat. Good morning. The case of this little buddy is that he is a porcupine that wandered into a house because a tree's branches reach into the house, and the people in the house got scared when they saw him. They called us, and we rescued him. Apparently, the animal has not been in captivity. It came from its natural habitat. He hasn't been fed at all, nor has he been given water. We picked him up during the morning, so he is fresh in from his natural habitat.
Ah, good. Thank you.
Here we have a porcupine that was rescued by the environmental police. According to the report, he was rescued in the town of Floridablanca, which is where we currently are. What we do is to carry out a physical examination. We observe the animal and look for wounds or limps or any physical mistreatment that can be seen without manhandling him. Because if we try to handle him now, what he's going to do is to release all of his spines. And that's not advisable if it's an animal that's going to be released. The other thing we do is we classify it taxonomically, which is very important. The Taxonomical Classification will tell us where within our jurisdiction we can release him. In this case, the scientific name of the specimen is Coendu prehensilis, and this area is the natural geographical location of this species, so we can release him in the vicinity. The report also tells us that he was rescued in a house in this same town. So what we are going to do now is to make the decision to release him. It's what we call a hard release. We will just approach the forest that is next to the rescue center, we will open the door, and the animal will just go away.
Ya cuidado en el otro.
The Center for Wildlife Assessment and Assistance is a pilot program in this region. As a matter of fact, we've been visited by ministers. The Minister for the Environment visited us here.
Los ministros, la ministra del Medio Ambiente nos visitó, conoció.
We've been visited by the Attorney General's office, and we are now working jointly with the ministry to develop the protocols that will complement the law that forbids the owning of wild animals by circuses.
Implementan la ley que prohíbe la tenencia de animales silvestres en los circos. Somos pioneros en el país.
We are pioneering these protocols in the country in association with the ministry.
En este tema, entonces, el centro de atención lo proyectamos a que sea una.
So we see the Wildlife Assistance Center becoming an institution that can be of great value to the environmental authorities and of great value to the people of the province of Santander and for their future.
Bueno, vamos a sacar ahorita esta.
Right now, we will take out this boa that we have here. We have her covered because she's very aggressive.
Ultra grande.
She is a large adult boa. She arrived with a problem in her tail. Apparently, the tip of her tail was burned. It's also very common that when people see a boa, they will get scared and they will think of it as a dangerous animal and attack it with stones, machetes. And in this case, I think they threw hot water, but fortunately, it only landed on the tip of the tail. So we will take her out so we can examine her. Let's look at her wound, which has been treated for nearly 2 weeks. We're going to heal it some more, and then we will put her back here. This is a large adult boa constrictor. She was found near the central market, and she was brought into the center.
Encontraron cerca al centro abastos y tiene una herida en la cola.
Her tail is injured, and very surely someone saw her and threw hot water on her, and that is why her tail looks the way it does now. I think that this animal will remain in rehabilitation while the tail heals completely. I think that it will take an additional 30 days before she can be released.
Y después se puede liberar. Buscamos un sitio adecuado.
At that time, we will look for an adequate place to release an animal of this size, far away from humans, nowhere near farms, for example, nowhere near where she will cause panic. These animals have a very high pain threshold. In order to feel pain, they have to be injured very badly. And in this case, the animal is in good shape. Proof of that is that she eats well. You feed her a mouse and she will eat it.
Entonces vamos a guardarla.
Among the roles played by the environmental police is to manage the issue of domestic animals with the different territorial entities, departments of health, particularly in towns where we deal with cases of animal abuse or animals that are abandoned on the street by their owners, or animals that are subjected to mistreatment, starved, or left in chains all day without vaccines and without the most basic care.
No son vacunados, no le prestan la asistencia necesaria.
Through the 123 emergency line or through the environmental police's phone lines, people can reach us and tell us about these situations. We arrive along with representatives from the municipalities, and we assist them with the necessary support, and we carry out our oversight and control duties in the protection of these animals.
La fauna silvestre es recogida.
Whenever we encounter protected wildlife, we seize it, since it's a flagrant violation of Law 1453, Article 29, which refers to the illegal use of natural resources. There, it provides for prosecuting people who are caught selling, transporting, or exploiting any one of these elements. Those people are arraigned, and the seized animals are brought to the Wildlife Center here in our jurisdiction. They take care of the rehabilitation work, of working with these animals and setting them on the right path.
Right now, we are at the Center for Wildlife Assessment and Assistance in the town of Florida Blanca. The animals that arrive, they are all missing claws in the front legs. They all have dental problems.
Todos también tienen problemas dentales. Hay muchos que están sin dientes.
And there are many that are missing teeth, or the remaining teeth are broken, or they have cavities, and nearly all of them have problems with their gums. The center received them after no other environmental entity in the country refused to take on the challenge, because the truth is that it's difficult to take responsibility for 9 lions. We took care of them and fed them for the first months they were here, until the ADI took custody of them and started to take care of their day-to-day management, feeding schedule, and veterinary care.
Fortunately, in our jurisdiction, our statistics show that there has been a reduction in the illegal trafficking of wildlife. This is due to the controls that the environmental regulator has been implementing in coordination with the national police.
Operation Spirit of Freedom. The corporation and the ADI reached an agreement and decided that it was best to take the animals to a specialized wildlife sanctuary, one specific to lions and carnivores, because here in Colombia, there is no sanctuary that can provide them with the space and care that they need. So these animals are going on a trip. They're going to Denver, Colorado, in the United States, to Ang Tuas, which is a specialized carnivore sanctuary. It has over 800 hectares set aside for them. There, they won't be in cages. They are going to be in very large space where they can gather as a herd. Here you can see they are separated. Lions are felines that, despite being cats, they prefer living in groups. Over there, they can be in a pride, and they can live in physical proximity to each other.
La campaña es Mi casa no es tu casa.
The My Home is Not Your Home campaign is voluntary, but it's also a call for wildlife species to talk back to the community and tell them that, quote, your home is not my home, end quote. Meaning, I don't want to be here, or I shouldn't be here because the conditions aren't right. So we have been implementing this campaign to raise awareness about how important it is for wildlife species to live in their proper environment and not in captivity.
Animal Defenders International is an animal rights organization that has been working to defend the rights of all animals for over 20 years. Some of their main campaigns deal with circus animals, animals in research and scientific labs, meaning animal experimentation. What they do is look for people to infiltrate the circus as workers. And they smuggle hidden cameras in which they can document the violence and the daily routine of the circus animals. In the past, before this type of investigation was common, people didn't believe there was anything wrong in the circus, because they go to the circus and they see the animals jumping through fiery hoops and dancing in circles and doing things they were not meant to do. But people thought they were fine. So through these investigations, we've been able to reveal the extent of the daily mistreatment they endure, such as violent training methods, withholding of food and water, constant traveling, which is very hard on them. There are cases, for example, of lions being housed next to zebras. So the species are incorrectly grouped together, because these people have no knowledge of their behavior and they cannot meet the animal's most basic requirements. The idea is also to encourage other countries so that they can take these steps, so that they can get stronger in enforcing respect of animal rights.
Finally, the Bucaramanga High Plains Defense Foundation is thankful for all of the support it has received at the national and provincial level, and thankful to all institutions that want to join this project, and thankful to the entire community. We seek to get the message across clearly and deliberately that the place for wildlife is out in the wild, not in homes. We are here to attend to the community's requests and to answer any of their questions.
Y que en este llamado pues podamos atenderle a la comunidad en su debido momento las inquietudes y solicitudes.
The foundation works closely with the environmental police. We encourage the community to communicate with us.
Se entregarán los teléfonos para que la gente se pueda comunicar y las direcciones, el mecanismo de llegar a la.
We will provide you with the means to get in touch with us with our phone numbers and addresses. Our doors are ready to help them.